Hello, 10 Standard. Welcome back to our digital class. Today, we will begin with the new chapter 3.3 Stephen Hawkins, a very great personality. Okay, now this lesson is a short account of some incidents in his life and who is known for his revolutionary concept in the theoretical physics and cosmology. So, Stephen Hawkins. So, this great personality is Stephen Hawkins. But before we start the lesson, we'll start with the warming up exercise. Look at page number 114. Here you have the first here you have the first warming up exercise giving you the information, or you have to match the prominent personalities with the disabilities that they had. Yes, these great personalities, there are 10 given in the textbook. John Milton, Beethoven, then Stephen Hawking, Walt Disney, Albert Einstein, Thomas Edison, Helen Keller, Sudha Chandran, Tenney Gray Thompson, and Franklin Roosevelt. These were very, very great personalities, but they had some disability, some physical or mental, but mostly physical disability. Though they were very successful in their life, but some or the other disability was there. So you have to find out what disability they had with the help of internet. First one I'll do with you all. John Milton. He was a great English poet who became blind at the age of 43 years. So, this is the first answer. So, I want you all to do the rest. Now, next question we have is word building. Students, this is a very important word building. There are four types of word building, very important from your exam point of view: reduplication, blending, clipping, and acronym. Now, reduplication means what? There, the duplication of the words are there. Means the root or the stem of the word is repeated exactly the same or with a slight change. For example, here in the textbook they have given you the example: twit twit, peter patter, chit chat, bang bang, riff raff. Okay. More example can be ting tong, tick tock, chip chip, hee haw, seesaw. Okay. So you all have to find out more 5 examples. Now blending. Now what is second one? Blending. Blending means mixing of two or combining of two different words. Okay. Breakfast plus lunch is known as brunch. Then you all have smog, motel. Okay. Then you all have bionic. There are so many internet. Okay. Then you all find out more blending words like this. Now, clipping. Clipping means was cutting or reducing a word to one of its syllable or a part of it. For example, mathematics. Now, this mathematics is called as, or it has clipped to or made it a short, reduced to maths. Advertisement. Ad. We call it ad. Then laboratory. We called it lab. Okay. Then examination. We call it exam. Then there are so many, there are so many clipping words. So find out more 5. Now acronyms. Acronyms is what? Word formed from the first letter of each words involved. Okay, initials are given. The full form you have to find. Find means you have to write like that. Radar, Scuba, UNICEF, NASA, BBC, CID, okay, and so on. There are many acronyms. You have to find out. See, in your notebook, write 5 examples of each of the above word building. So you do this exercise, okay? Now let's start the lesson. Now, as I told you that this is a short account of some incidents in the life of Stephen Hawkins. Okay, and this is known for his revolutionary concept in the theoretical physics and cosmology. So let's first we'll read this. Stephen Hawkins. Okay, so Stephen Hawkins was born on 8th January 1942. Okay, he is an English theoretical physicist, cosmologist, author, and director of research at the Center of Theoretical Cosmology within the Cambridge University. Okay, cosmology. Cosmology means what? The study of the whole universe. All detailed study about universe is done by Stephen Hawkins. Many truth, many facts were revealed by him. Hawkins was the first one to set out the theory of cosmology explained by a union of general theory of relativity and quantum machine. Hawken is an honorary fellow of Royal Society of Arts. Yes, he had won many awards. He became a member of all these high class societies, okay, or high grade societies of learned people, right? And many medals of civilian awards he had won. And this lesson gives us an insight about the great scientist, his life, and his work. Now, Stephen Hawking's life is not at all easy, students. If you read this, when read or when we'll go through the lesson, we'll come to know how many problems he faced in his life. But still, he became a very successful scientist, researcher. Okay, he brought many theories for us to learn, be aware of things. Okay, so let's begin the lesson. Stephen Hawkins was born on 8th January 1942 and he is a British scientist, professor, and author who has done groundbreaking work in physics and cosmology. Now, breaking word. What is groundbreaking? Groundbreaking means enormous work where something new, something original and advanced, and nobody would challenge those things. Such a wonderful work he had done in physics and cosmology, and whose books have helped to make science accessible to everyone. Yes, and he had written books on cosmology and physics, so that everybody can be accessible to the science. At the age of 21, while studying cosmology at University of Cambridge, he was diagnosed with amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, ALS. Now this is one of the disease, students. Okay, just at the age of 21 he was diagnosed with this disease, and part of his life story was depicted in the 2014 film The Theory of Everything. So the on his life, one film is also made, so you all can watch that movie. Over the years, Stephen Hawkins has written or co-written a total of 15 books. So altogether, he had written how many books, students? 15 books. Okay, a few of the most noteworthy include. Now let's see about his books in detail. Okay, what books he has written, what he has written. Let's see that. In 1988, Hawking catapulted, that is, he launched to international province with the publication of A Brief History of Time. So the first this book was written up by him was The Brief History of Time. The short informative book became an account of cosmology. So this was a book written about the universe, the origin and development of the universe. And for whom he wrote this book? For the masses, and offered an overview of space and time, the existence of God, and the future. About space and time he wrote, about the existence of God he wrote. Students, he did not believe in God, in the existence of God. He was against it. We'll come to know about it further. Okay, and about the future. So he wrote all these things in his first book, A Brief History of Time. But the work was an instant success. Now this book was read by many people, and people it became a top book, a very bestseller book. It became London Sunday Times bestseller list. It was there. Since its publication, it has sold millions of copies worldwide and being translated into more than 40 languages. Yes, more than 40 languages that book was been translated. Okay. See, here are the pictures of his childhood and about the book. A brief history of time also wasn't as easy to understand as some had hoped. Now, see, the theories what he had written in that book was not, but it was not easy for the people to understand. Or maybe there was some things that was little bit difficult to understand. So what he did, he wrote another book with more in detail and more illustrations. Okay, so I'll read this. 115, page number 115, last paragraph. A brief, a brief history of time also wasn't that easy to understand as some had hoped. So, in 2001, okay, Hawking followed his book with the universe in nutshell, which offered a more illustrated guide to cosmology, big theory. So he wrote another book which was easy for the people to understand with different, you know, more and more examples in it. Next, then we have in 2005, Hawking authored the even more accessible, okay, even more he was writing and writing, and in 2005 he wrote a book which was easily available, accessible, or available to the people, and that book was A Briefer History of Time. A Briefer History of Time, which further simplified the original work's core concept and touched upon the newest development in the field of his field, like string theory. So he wrote many things in that book, which their concepts were made clear, which was written or which was not able to understand in his first book. Together, these three books, along with Hawkins, three books he wrote. Okay, so which was the three books? The Brief History of Time, The Universe in Nutshell, and the third one was The Briefer History of Time. So in these three books, along with Hawkins' own research and papers, articulated the physicist's personal search for science's holy grail. Okay, he was even, a lot many researches he were doing. His brain, he even challenged. He had a he was such a different and dynamic person. He used to think in 11 dimensions. We think in one time. We think about one thing, okay, in one dimension. But he said that he thinks in 11 dimensions. Along with research, he was writing about science. Simultaneously, he was doing many things there. Okay, so he had written about the Holy Grail. And what is this Holy Grail? A single unifying theory that can combine cosmology, that is the study of big, with the quantum in small mechanics, okay, to explain how the universe began. So he was writing side by side, he was writing about the Holy Grail also. It's It's this kind of ambitious thinking that has allowed Hawking, who claimed, okay, he claimed that he can think in 11 dimension. Such a brilliant brain he had, students, to lay out some big possibilities for humankind. He is convinced that time travel is also possible. He said that we can come to know about future, or we can go make a time travel machine will be there, and it will be even help the people to colonize other planets, go and capture or stay on the other planets. Now, next, in September 2010, Hawkins spoke against the idea that, now see students, here's something very different and very controversial. He said, he spoke against the idea that God could have created the universe in his book, The Grand Design. He wrote one book about, the book's name was Grand Design. Okay. And what he declared in that book, students, a very controversial this statement. Hawkins previously argued that belief in a creator would be compatible with modern scientific theories. His new work, however, concluded that the Big Bang was inevitable consequence of the law of physics and nothing more. I will tell you what he said. Because there is a law such as gravity, the universe can and will be created itself from nothing. This is what Hawkins said. He said that God did not create this universe. Universe is created by the physics, the law of physics, and or many such laws. And the main law is gravity, which can create anything from nothing. Hawkins said, spontaneous creation, spontaneous means on the spot, okay? Anytime on the spot. Spontaneous creation is the reason there is something rather than nothing, and why the universe exists, why we exist. He says that there is God has not done anything in this. There is no God existed on this earth or in this universe. Only because of physics or the universe can be created again and again. So this was obviously with this controversial statement, he must have faced many problems in his, some arguments, or he must have faced a lot of controversies, but still he was fixed on his theory. And he even challenged Isaac Newton's belief. Okay, let's see what he challenged. Next paragraph. The Grand Design was Hawkins' first major publication in almost a decade. Within his new within his new work, Hawkins set out to challenge Sir Isaac Newton's belief that the universe had to have been designed by God. Okay, Isaac Newton said that the universe is created by God simply because it could not have been born from chaos. But it is not necessary to invoke God to light the blue touch paper and set the universe going. So what Hawkins said, it doesn't need any God, that the blue wins the universe, it will get light and all these things will happen, or the universe will be created. So there is no God's creation in it. Okay, so this is what. Next paragraph. At the age, page number 117, students. At the age of 21, now we are going in his flashback. Okay, something of his youth when he was 21 years old. Now, Stephen Hawkins was diagnosed with the amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, okay, ALS, that is low growing Gehrig's disease. In a simple sense, the nerves that controlled his muscles were shutting down. So, this was the effect of his disease, that his nerves were shutting down. One nerve were shutting down. At the time, doctors gave him 2.5 years to live. At the age of 21, when he was diagnosed with this disease, okay, with his some systems disease, okay, and doctors said within 2.5 years he may die. But Hawkins first began to notice his problem. Okay, what symptoms he got? Let's see in this paragraph. Hawkins first began to notice problems with his physical health while he was at Oxford. Okay, when he was at Oxford, he must have noticed the symptoms there. On the occasion, he would trip and fall or slur his speech. So, what were his symptoms? His symptoms were sometimes he would trip down, fall down, or slur. Sometimes his tongue may not work because the his muscles were getting or the nerves were getting shut down. No? So sometimes he would not able to speak, stumble. Okay, or he used his speech was not clear. Okay, he didn't look into the problem until 1963. Till 1963 he just ignored everything. He thought that it is just maybe a stress or too much work. He must have thought about it and he ignored all these symptoms. But during his first and this 1963 was his first year at Cambridge. For the most part, Hawkins had kept these symptoms to himself. He did not tell anybody about these symptoms. But when his father took notice of this condition, he took Hawkins to see a doctor. For the next 2 weeks, the 21-year-old college student made his home at the medical clinic where he underwent a series of tests. Yes, at the age of 21, when his father noticed the change in him, or in front of his father he must have fallen down or something must have happened to him. So his father took him to the doctor. He admitted there, and then all his tests and all the test treatments started. Okay, and what were the treatments? We'll see later on. Later on means in the next paragraph. They took a muscle sample from my arm, stuck electrodes into me, and injected some radio-opaque fluid into my spine. Okay, so maybe to diagnose, to check everything. So all these treatment was been done. Okay, and I watched it going up and down with X-rays as they titled the bed. Sorry, tilted the bed. Sorry, it is tilted means they made it little bit tilted. Okay, he once said, after all that, they didn't tell him what I had, except that it was not multiple sclerosis, and that was an optical case. Okay, so his case was very unusual, but there was not many cerulosis, means many nerves were not affected. So it was all treatment was done and all, and then some doctor gave some word about that there is this is a very unusual case, but it's all right, there are no multiple sclerosis. Eventually, however, doctors did diagnose Hawkins with the early stage of ALS. The doctor said that this is just the first stage of ALS. But it was devastating news for him and his family. Obviously, if you come to know that there is some cancer in you, okay, obviously we will be disturbed, we will get devastated, we can't understand what may happen to us or our family. But a few events prevented him from becoming completely despondent. Means what? He, few incidents took place in his life, or he was such a brilliant person. He said, no, I have to live, I have to do many work for the world. The first of these, the first of these came while Hawking was still in the hospital. Okay, few incidents took place with him where he got hopes to live. Okay, so what was those incident? The first one was taken place in the hospital itself. Okay, there he shared a room with a boy suffering from leukemia. Okay, now this is also one of the cancer, some blood cancer it is. Okay, and then relative to what his roommate was going through, Hawkins later reflected his situation seems more tolerable. Means looking at the condition of his roommate who was admitted with him. Okay, the maybe the pain or the suffering that he was going through, Hawkins thanked that his condition was better than that fellow. Then once, what happened? Not long after he was released from the hospital, afterwards, when he was released from the hospital, he had a dream. Okay, and what was that dream? The horrible dream he had. Hawking had a dream that he was going to be executed, means he was going to die or be killed. He said this dream made him realize that there were still things to do with his life. When all he faced such no situations, his dream, then he decided to himself, no, I should not get bogged with this, I should no, not get demotivated by this, but instead of that I have many things to do in my life. In a sense, Hawkins' disease helped him become a noted scientist he is today. Yes, because of all this situation and his disease, he was more determined, he was more motivated, and he became a successful scientist. Before the diagnosis, Hawkins hadn't always focused on his studies. Okay, before the diagnosis, he was a normal person, like you all, not serious about his studies. Before my condition was diagnosed, now see what he's saying, huh? Before my condition was diagnosed, I had been very bored with my life, he said. There had not seemed to be anything worth doing. With sudden realization that he might not even live long enough to earn his PhD. Okay, his aim was to do or earn the degree of PhD. But before the diagnosis, he was not at all serious about his studies. But then he took everything on his mind and started doing researches and started working for his PhD. Hawkins, next page. Hawkins poured himself into his work and research. Further, as physical control over his body diminished, okay, because he had the problem of the nerves. Okay, his nerves were shutting down, so the control over his body was getting diminished. He was forced to use a wheelchair by 1969. The effects of this disease started to slow down over time. However, Hawkins' ex expanding career was accompanied by ever worsening physical state. By the mid 1970s, the Hawkins family had taken in one of the Hawkins graduate student to help manage his care and work. He could still feed himself and get out of bed, but virtually everything else required assistance. In addition, his speech had become increasingly slurred, so that only those who knew him well could understand him. In 1985, he lost his voice for good following a tracheotomy. The resulting situation required 24 hours nursing care for the acclaimed physicist. Now, what happened with him further was his physical control was finished, okay, and he was transferred into the wheelchair, and his research and studies were gaining speed and success, okay. He was getting success everywhere, but his health was getting worse, and Hawkins could only eat and get out of his bed himself, but baki everything he needed or required assistance. So he, one of his graduate person only, okay, maybe one of his graduate student helped him to manage his work. He became his assistant, and slowly, because of his nerves getting no shutting down, his speech also started getting more slurred, more unclear. He started stumbling, or maybe one day came that he was not able to speak at all, and because there in his trachea, or he had some problem of the tracheotomy, and then because of this he needed 24 hours nursing care, okay, and because his voice was fully gone. See students, at this such a small age he faced so many problems, but did he leave his studies? Did he leave his hope? No, but he was more and more motivated. He got help from people, and he did or continued his research work. Further, it also put in the peril Hawkins' ability to do his work. Okay, and but obviously because of all these problems, he couldn't work properly. Okay, his work was also in danger. But the precedent caught the attention, means this current situation, okay, what he was facing, the danger, and he caught the attention of the California computer programmer who had developed a speaking program that could be directed by head or eye movement. Okay, one of the computer programmer from California, what he did, he developed one program for such patient who cannot speak at all, so that they could direct whatever they want to speak. They could say it with their eyes, direct with their eyes and the or eye movement, and it could be, maybe it could be converted into a speech and come out from that computer. The invention allowed Hawking to select words on a computer screen that were then passed through the speech synthesizer. Okay, so whatever he was speaking or whatever he was, so how was this program working? With the help of speech synthesizer. At the time of its introduction, Hawkins, who still had used his fingers, selected his words with the handheld clicker. Today, with virtually all control of his body gone, Hawkins directs the program through a chick muscle attached to a sensor. See students, this is seen the on the screen. There's a picture. Okay, there are sensors attached to it cheek, and through this whatever he wants to say we can see on the screen. Next, through the program and the help of the assistants, Stephen Hawking has continued to write at a prolific rate. Okay, so he continued writing about his theories and researches. He did not stop, but he needed assistant to write. His work has included enormous or numerous scientific papers, of courses, but also informations for non-scientific community also. He did not write only for the people who believed in science, but he also wrote for the non-scientific community also. Hawkins' health, of course, remains a constant concern, a worry that was heightened in 2009 when he failed to appear at a conference in the Arizona because of his chest infection. So in 2009, see students, in 1969, doctor had given only 2.5 years that he would live. But now it is 2009 where his health was getting more, more in danger. He had chest infection. In April, Hawking, who had already announced he was retiring after 30 years from the post of the Lucasian Professor of Mathematics at Cambridge, he was rushed to the hospital for being what university officials described as gravely ill. So now he was seriously, very seriously, or he was in danger. His health was in danger. It was later announced that he was expected to make a full recovery. Then doctor said that he is again recovering. Okay, so this was the lesson. See students, how motivating his life is, isn't it? He was diagnosed by cancer or those nervous system there, cancer in 1969 and was only given 2.5 years to live. But he died in March 2018. Yes, he died recently. He only had the aim of his life of doing researches of his theories to prove just for us. Where there is will, there is a way, students. Believe in yourself. If you have willpower, you can achieve anything in your life. Any problems may come in your life. If you have the whole willpower with you, you will never be, bogged down by anything. You have to be, you will get success in your life, students. Everything is possible. So, the willpower is very important. I hope you understood the chapter. Now, here we have the workshops. The first workshop is observe the timeline and search the occurrence according to it. Prepare a chart. Now, in January, what happened on 8th January 1942? Yes, he was born. Prepare a chart. So like this, in 1970 what happened, 1988 what happened, so 2001, 5, 9, 10, 14. So you all are going to write the whole thing about it. Got it everyone? Next we have make the list of the books written by Stephen Hawking. So you have to write which books was written by Stephen Hawking and his contribution to the world. You'll find out this. Make a list of Hawkins' physical inabilities after 1963. Okay, after 1963, what problems he faced with his health. you are going to write about that also. Then next you have a web chart. Field of excellence, fine art, literature, mathematics, science. Shape your mind. Complete the network of cluster diagram with the names of great personalities and their contribution. So you have to write about those great personalities who had done excellence in these field. Who had done excellence in fine art, excellence in mathematics, excellence in literature. So their names you have to write complete, and their contribution also you have to write what contribution they did. Okay, so in literature you can find Shakespeare, what he had done. In mathematics there are so many. Ramanuj is there. Now recently you all saw the movie na Shakuntala Devi. Which movie was that? So about that Shakuntala Devi, you will write about her. You can write about her. Then in arts, you can write about Rabindranath Tagore is there. So you have to write about them. In science, you have so many people in science. You can write about them too. Then we have the web chart over here again. Stephen Hawking's achievements. So read the lesson thoroughly and write down this. Question number 6 is not there. Question number 7, 8. Do it on your own, students. You have to do it on your own. Agree or disagree. You have to read the lesson, understand, listen to the video again if you want. We can do that. Then you have question number 9. Fill in the blanks with the proper form of the verbs as per subjects. Okay. Mother dash a good meal. Cook or cooks. Which verb will be there? Which proper form of a verb will be there? Mother cooks a good meal. Mother, second one, mother and her daughter dash a good meal. Next, what you will get the answer? Mother and her daughter cooks a good meal. Cook a good meal. Will it become a cook a good meal? Or what it will be? Students, you can do this on your own. So the mother and her daughter cook a good meal. So it will be cook a good meal. Okay. And first one is cooks. Mother cooks a good meal. Second one is mother and her daughter cook a good meal. Okay. So like that is our plays. Then again is our makes, is our, was, were, has, have. So the proper form of verb you will put in the blank. Okay. Question number 10 is about determiners. You have to encircle the determiners and underline the nouns. I have already given you all this exercise, or we have already done this topic. So you all can do this. Question number 11 and 12 is not there. Okay. Question number 11 and 12 is omitted. It is not there. Students, I hope you understood the chapter. Thank you very much.